In this video, I am going to talk about albugo, sporangia and ultrastructure of sporangia. If we see sporangia of albugo, they are small, hyaline. Hyaline means translucent, nearly spherical in shape or lemon-shaped structures with a smooth or somewhat punctate surface. Punctate means tiny holes are present on its surface. Okay, sporangia are small, hyaline, nearly spherical or lemon-shaped structures with a smooth or somewhat punctate surface. The basipetal arrangement of sporangia in the chain. Basipetal arrangement means oldest sporangium is present at the top and the youngest sporangium is present at the base of the chain. Okay, it serves in two useful purposes. The first one is it permits, okay, this type of arrangement permits ready dispersal of the boldest sporangia by air currents or rainwater, and it helps in the proper nourishment of the younger ones. This is about sporangia of albugo. We'll see now in detail about ultrastructure of sporangium. Sporangia is a plural term and sporangium is singular. Okay, now we'll see one ultrastructure of sporangium. According to Kohn, year 1977, each newly formed sporangium is lemon-shaped and is about 19 to 22 by 14 to 17 micrometers in size. It bears remnants of the connectives or disjunctor pads at both the ends. So here in the picture you can see clearly, if you see the diagram of A, all of you see A, there it is, you can see disjunctor pads. So disjunctor pads are present at both the ends. Okay, the sporangium wall is differentiated into two layers. The outer is more electron dense than the inner layer. So what is electron dense layer? That means protein layers of the cell membrane are called electron dense layer. So if you see ultrastructure of sporangium, according to Kohn, each newly formed sporangium is lemon shaped. Okay, it bears remnants of the connectives or disjunctor pads at both the ends. That picture is very clear. You can see disjunctor pads in the picture A. Okay. The sporangium wall is differentiated into two layers, outer layer, inner layer. Outer layer is more electron dense than the inner layer. This is within the sporangium wall. Okay, within the sporangium wall is the highly convoluted plasma membrane enclosing the dense cytoplasm containing up to 4 nuclei. So, inner to the wall layers, what is present? Highly convoluted plasma membrane is present. Convoluted means twisted or coiled. Okay, inside the sporangium wall, highly convoluted plasma membrane enclosing the dense cytoplasm containing up to 4 nuclei. Okay, besides the cytoplasm, it contains endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, dictyosomes, ribosomes, both free ribosomes and ribosomes which are attached to endoplasmic reticulum are present. Vesicles of various kinds and lipid droplets are also present inside the cytoplasm. Okay, inside the sporangium wall, highly convoluted plasma membrane is present. Inside the plasma membrane, dense cytoplasm and endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, dictyosomes, free ribosomes and ribosomes attached to endoplasmic reticulum and various kinds of vesicles and lipid droplets are present. So here in this picture B, you can see clearly Okay, all cell organelles present inside the sporangium. Okay. Next, towards maturity, the sporangial wall, especially its inner layer, increases in thickness and number of lipid droplets decrease as the sporangia matured. Okay, the oldest sporangia have none. That means the one which is at the top position now, it doesn't have any droplets, lipid droplets. The endospermic reticulum becomes accumulated in the peripheral cytoplasm towards the end of sporangial maturation. The dictyosomes become quiescent. Quiescent means inactivity. Mitochondria decreased in number and also the amount of endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, the sporangial wall increased threefold the thickness. Okay, and in this video we discussed in detail about the sporangia and ultrastructure of sporangia. Okay, so towards maturity, the sporangial wall, especially its inner layer, increases in thickness. Number of lipid droplets decreases as the sporangia is matured, and the oldest sporangia have none, no lipid droplets. Endoplasmic reticulum becomes accumulated in the peripheral cytoplasm. Okay, towards the end of sporangial maturation. So at the end of maturation, dictyosomes become inactive, mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum number is decreased. Sporangial wall increase threefold the thickness. Okay, now we will see dispersal of sporangia. Okay, how sporangia are dispersed. The chains of sporangia lengthen. Okay, the chain of sporangia increases. As it is increasing, it causes some pressure on the epidermis. Okay, this causes leaf surface to bulge. The overlying epidermis eventually bursts over the growing sporangial sorus and exposes the white shining pustules consisting of sporangia. Due to the increasing length of the chain of sporangia, it causes pressures on epidermis. So due to that pressure, it bursts, the epidermis gets bursts open. Okay, and all this sporangia chain is exposed. The pustules look like white blisters. Here in photo you can see the pustules look like white blisters. The exposed sporangia are white. Okay, we already know that the sporangia can propagate the disease. The distal ones by this time have matured. As the sporangia matures, the connective or gelatinous pads between them become dry, shrink and finally disintegrate in moist air. Okay, we already discussed all the sporangias are connected to each other with the help of connective or disjunctor pads. When they get matured, what happens? These gelatinous pads or connectives or disjunctor pads become dry, shrink and finally disintegrate in moist air. The sporangia in the chain thus separate. Okay, the sporangias in the chain thus separate. They are then blown away in the air by wind or washed away by rainwater. Okay. This is how sporangia are dispersed from the infected leaf. Now we'll see the germination of sporangia. Landing on a suitable host, the sporangia begin to germinate within 2 or 3 hours under suitable conditions. At the time of germination, they behave in either of the following two ways. Okay, depending on, we'll see, depending on temperature conditions. So, this sporangia, after landing on suitable host, it begin to germinate within 2 or 3 hours under suitable conditions. Okay, at the time of germination, they behave in either of the following two ways depending on the temperature conditions. What are that ways? What are the two ways? We'll see now. One is indirect germination and the other one is direct germination. Okay, first we will discuss in detail about the indirect germination. So in detail about indirect germination is given in the next video, that is part 2.